Chapter 10, Photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? What all are required for photosynthesis? Who can carry out photosynthesis? And how does photosynthesis occur? And are there any differences between the photosynthesis of one type of plants and other type of plants? Really, are plants differentiated based on the type of photosynthesis or the processes that occur in the photosynthesis? This is all what you guys are going to learn from this video. As you can see here, that sun is shining. It is radiating light. Light travels in the form of waves and hits the green leaf, and green leaf is going to take in that light energy and going to capture carbon dioxide and water molecules which do not have energy. So this light is captured with these energy less molecules. Light is energy, and plants are able to make, the leaves in this picture as it shows are able to make carbohydrates, and in this process they release oxygen. This is what is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process. It's a magic that is carried out by green parts of the plants only when the sun shines on them. That is why it is called photosynthesis. Synthesis means making. It is not simple making. It is a complex procedure. That is why the word synthesis. But this process definitely requires light and many other tools. So let's find out what exactly does a plant need, or which part of the plant is going to carry out photosynthesis, and what all are in there which will help in conversion of energy less carbon dioxide and waters into energy rich carbohydrates. How are plants going to take light energy? It's quite a magic, and it's a secret of life. Without plants making this food for us, I don't think we would have been alive. Do plants even know that we exist? Not really. So who do they make this food for? They make these carbohydrates for themselves, and whatever is extra they store in their plant parts, and that is what we eat, and that is how we are able to survive. Animals, plants, we need that food made by the process of photosynthesis. So let's discover, unravel the secrets of photosynthesis. How exactly does it happen? Step-by-step process is given at the molecular level, deep inside the cell and the organelle. It's a wonderful thing. These are your objectives for this chapter. You have to know all the little structures inside a chloroplast, which is an organelle made of membranes, and there are little tiny compartments in the complex organelle called chloroplast, and what are they and what is happening there, which part of the photosynthesis. This entire process of photosynthesis is represented by a chemical equation, and you should know that. That is the summary of the entire chapter. You have to know that in photosynthesis also redox reactions occur, and the relationship between the action spectrum and absorption spectrum is slightly important. And also know that there are electrons, just like in cellular respiration, they are moving in a linear and also cyclic form. It is important, but slightly, not very much. The very important thing to know is, do you have to compare cellular respiration with photosynthesis? Yes, very much. Remember chemiosmosis and oxidative phosphorylation, words from chapter 9, cellular respiration. Yes, oxidative phosphorylation, which has electron transport chain, and chemiosmosis, they are also there in those processes. This processes are also there in photosynthesis, but actually it's not exactly the same molecules, or not the same process. It's not exactly that. So just remember that yes, the process is going to, or chemiosmosis and electron transport chain do occur in photosynthesis. The type of phosphorylation that occurs in order to make ATP during photosynthesis is photophosphorylation. There's something called photorespiration, which we are going to come across, and at the very end we are going to talk about photosynthetic adaptations and how they help in reducing photorespiration, which causes loss to plants. Finally, remember that you have to compare what are the similar things between cellular respiration and photosynthesis, and what are the differences. Yes, you have to know them. And if you have studied chapter 9 and watched video a couple of times and made your notes, then yes, you will be able to differentiate between cellular respiration, photosynthesis. Not only that, I provided a couple of slides at the very end of the PowerPoint for you to know the differences, so that you are ready for the big test, and also understanding the two very important secrets of life, right? Cellular respiration, photosynthesis. There's a space missing here. Anyways, going to the real part of photosynthesis. As I said, photosynthesis has things which are which are happening in respiration and are quite similar. So you remember that in respiration, this is summary of respiration, guys. Just wanted to give you a little glimpse of respiration before we jump into photosynthesis. So you remember that respiration is a process where we release energy from the sugars or proteins or fats by extracting their electrons and making these electrons jump from one molecule to another and finally given to oxygen. And this process of jumping electrons will cause electrons to lose the energy stored in them, and this is called electron transport chain, and this energy released by these jumping electrons is captured as proton motive force in the mitochondria, and ATP synthase will capture this energy and use to join ADPs with phosphates to make ATP, right guys? So this is cellular respiration. This is the equation of cellular respiration, where sugar and oxygen are going to end up into carbon dioxides and waters. In this process, energy from sugar is released through jumping electrons, and energy that is released by jumping electrons is used to join ADPs with phosphate and regenerate lots of ATPs. One glucose will make 32 ATPs. So yes, there are redox reactions occurring, and there is electron transport chain, there is proton motive force. In photosynthesis also, we'll see how it happens. Hope you got this part clear, that this is all is happening in summary in cellular respiration. If you haven't, please go over your lecture notes of cellular respiration and then start photosynthesis. A quick review, you need not again start from beginning to ending. Just a quick review of your notes should give you a good picture of respiration, and then you can understand photosynthesis much better now, because you already know what is electron transport chain and chemiosmosis and proton motive force. Otherwise, we'll go over. Let's jump into photosynthesis. The secret process. The very secret process. Yay. So first, the definition. You know that in sciences, definitions are very important, right? So what is photosynthesis? It's a process. First, let's give a big picture. What is photosynthesis? It's a process. What does it do? It will convert light energy into chemical energy, which is stored in the form of sugars. So it is not extracting energy from sugars, but it is converting light energy to chemical energy, which is stored in sugars, which is quite opposite of cellular respiration, right? Actually, not exactly opposite, but energy is stored into sugars versus energy released from sugars in cellular respiration. So again, photosynthesis is a process that will convert light energy into chemical energy, which is stored in sugars by green parts of the plants only when the light energy is provided to them, either in the form of sunlight or in the form of the light from electric bulbs. Both can serve the purpose. It need not be always only the light from the sun. Okay. So yes, due to this process, we are all alive. It nourishes the entire ecosystem or the entire biosphere. Based on how living organisms make or obtain their food or nutrition, they are of two types: autotrophic organisms and heterotrophic organisms. What is auto? Auto means self. Hetero means not self. Autotrophs are the ones which make their own food. Photoautotrophs depend on light energy for making their food, which is everything that they need. They make their own proteins, they make their own carbohydrates, they make their own vitamins, they make their own chlorophyll, they make their own membrane and everything. And for that, they don't eat others. They sit and wait for the light, and whatever nutrients, energy-less nutrients that they have from surroundings, they take them in and they make all this. So autotrophs don't think that plants are the only ones. Plants are autotrophs, definitely, but algae or algae, however you say it, unicellular protists which have chloroplasts in them. Remember, this is not a bacteria. Protists are eukaryotes. They have chloroplasts. And cyanobacteria, which themselves are kind of chloroplasts, right? So this is a cyanobacteria, which is a chloroplast-like bacteria. So they don't have chloroplast inside them. They themselves are chloroplasts. So plants, algae, protists, cyanobacteria. These are all autotrophs. Coming to heterotrophs, they cannot make their own food, so that they have to depend on others. People, animals, vultures, fungi, bacteria which cannot synthesize their own food, like cyanobacteria, bacteria such as E. coli, Staphylococcus aureus, MRSA, they're all heterotrophs. Remember guys, cyanobacteria is autotroph. It has chlorophyll. It will photosynthesize. Cyanobacteria is autotroph. Bacteria which do not have chlorophyll in them, such as MRSA, Streptococcus, E. coli, all these are heterotrophs. Fungi, yes. Vultures, yes. Because they have to depend on other organisms. They cannot make their own food. Whether it is dead or alive does not matter. It is dependent on other organism to be alive, other material to be alive. Tools of photosynthesis. So for this magical process, photosynthesis, there are some things or little molecules that are required, and they are enzymes, which are located in the membrane of the chloroplast and the fluid part of the chloroplast called stroma. And not only enzymes, but chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is not an enzyme, it's just a special molecule. And complex proteins called photosystems, electron carriers. Yes, there are electron carriers in photosynthesis, just like how there were electron carriers in cellular respiration. So these are all the tools of photosynthesis. Photosynthetic enzymes, special molecules such as chlorophylls, electron carriers, and complex molecules called photosystems, which are actually made of proteins in association with chlorophylls. It is called photosystem. So these are all the molecules which help in photosynthesis. They are all located in the chloroplast, inside the chloroplast. And these are not located anywhere outside the chloroplast. So the entire process of photosynthesis occurs only in chloroplasts, which are there in the green parts of the plants, inside the green looking parts, the cells which make the green looking parts. So the site of photosynthesis is always chloroplast in a eukaryotic organism, which is plants and algae and protists. And site of photosynthesis in cyanobacteria will be the entire cell, because as I said, it itself is a chloroplast, right? Okay. What is the difference between chloroplast and chlorophyll? Chlorophyll is a pigment molecule which is much smaller, whereas chloroplast is an organelle. It is much bigger than a molecule, because chloroplast is made of many big molecules. What does chloroplast do? Chloroplast houses all those magical molecules which are required to complete and carry out and make carbohydrates through the process of photosynthesis. What is chlorophyll? Chlorophyll is a small pigment molecule. Many of them are present inside the chloroplast. Not everywhere, guys. I'll show you where exactly they are. And this is a molecule which has that magical power of absorbing light. Okay, so let's take a leaf, a little tiny part of this leaf. Under the compound microscope, you can see the many layers of cells, the cross section of the leaf. And most of the leaves have the bottom surface, the one which is not facing the sun, the one which is facing the downside of the leaf. That part is the one underside of the leaf, has tiny pores called stomata, through which gases exchange, just like we have nostrils through which we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Like that, through these pores called stomata, which are on the surfaces of the green parts of the plants, leaf or stem or any green part of the plant. The pores are called stomata, which are actually, during the daytime, they are releasing oxygen because they're making this oxygen a lot during photosynthesis, and they need carbon dioxide. Whereas during nighttime, guys, just like you and I, even the green parts of the plants, they release carbon dioxide. Yes, guys, I'm saying it's opposite. They release carbon dioxide and take in oxygen. So during nighttime, plants are just like you and I. During daytime, only these pores, when they're open, when they're carrying out photosynthesis, then these plants, green parts of the plants, are taking in carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide is required for photosynthesis, and releasing oxygen out of their body parts through stomata. So if you take one single cell, this one single cell under the microscope, and look inside, as you can see, this is a cell wall, right, guys? And these are the green donuts. No, they are not green donuts, they are green chloroplasts. If you look at one chloroplast under the microscope, you can see that each chloroplast is like a lens, and it is lens shaped. It is made of outer and inner membrane. Inside this inner membrane, the fluid is called stroma, and it's spread out in this stroma are the membranous discs called thylakoids. Each disc is called thylakoid. Each of this green disc is called thylakoid. When all these discs are stacked up, this stack is called granum. A granum is a stack of thylakoids. So each cell has 30 to 40 chloroplasts. Each chloroplast has outer and inner membrane and the fluid inside, and a stack of thylakoids, and many of them are interconnected through the membrane. Okay, so I'm talking about each cell. Every cell has 30 to 40 chloroplasts. And inside the chloroplast, inside every chloroplast, the thing is like this. So you have to imagine many of them inside the cell and many cells inside a leaf, and each of them is carrying out photosynthesis. Okay, so let's go deep into a chloroplast. Make sure you know all these, each one of those, um, uh, all the parts of this chloroplast, and know the difference between the stomata and the stroma. Stroma is the fluid inside the chloroplast, whereas stomata are the pores made of two guard cells. These bean-shaped cells, which are making the pore between them, these are called stomata. Actually, my research was on the stomatal cells, the genes which turn the cells when the leaf is forming, how the cell decides which of the cells are going to make the pores. There are genes for that, and it is the information which is coming from the genes which are present in every plant cell. Yeah. Well, the actual photosynthetic reaction takes in 12 water molecules and releases 6 water molecules, as you know. But then it becomes too complex, so don't try to memorize this. I want you to remember only this chemical reaction. So remember, 6 carbon dioxide, 6 water, and light energy will give 1 glucose and 6 oxygen molecules. There's no ATP shown here, but yes, ATPs are formed in order to make energy-rich glucose. I'll show them later. But in the equation, don't write it. It's not represented in the equation. I want you to remember one thing for the test. Radioactive isotopes were used. And studies conducted have shown that oxygen gas that is released during photosynthesis by plants, it actually comes from water molecules, not carbon dioxide. Do you see this? Carbon dioxide also has oxygen, water also has oxygen, but this oxygen which is released by plants, it actually comes from water. And the oxygen which is in the food, this one actually comes from carbon dioxide in the air. Okay, so electrons do jump, and when they jump they release energy, but here it is totally opposite. When electrons jump and they move from water to oxygen, then they increase in potential energy by absorbing the